If you're going to do something, do it right. That's what my dad used to always say, and boy, do I have work to do when it comes to this video thing. If you've been following along much, you know that I'm just learning how to set up everything and do videos, and appreciate you being part of the journey. Appreciate you tuning in. So today I'm just going to talk about some random things that come to my mind, and I'm going to share some things on the screen, doing more technology, trying, and talk about what I'm showing from my perspective. So let's get into it. First thing I want to talk about is this little graphic that I saw posted on social media. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I feel like it could be summed up into one very good statement that my dad used to always say. Well, really both my parents used to always say, but I'll get to that in a minute. I want to run through each of these. It's elaborating on the point, so I can go along with it. But it says you may want to forgive your parents for raising you through their own unresolved trauma. It's true. We've all got our own unresolved trauma. We've all got something. I like to always say, in consideration for others, I say this to my family, everybody's got something they're going through. Everybody's got something they're dealing with. And then sometimes I'll even add, chances are you'd rather have what you have than what they have. So get over yourself. That's kind of the point. I don't always go that far because, that's so harsh. I don't want to hurt the children's feelings. But yeah, you may want to forgive your parents for raising you through their own unresolved trauma. May want to forgive your parents for not being able to understand you because they did not have the capacity to. Parents got a lot going on. Parents are dealing with a lot of their own trauma. Parents got things that they might not have. Parents might not have the capacity to deal with all the things that you're going through as a child. So when you get old enough to realize, hey, my parents were maybe doing the best they could, maybe forgive your parents for that. Not forgive your parents for not being able to teach you certain skills as nobody taught them. This is a huge one because there are so many things that we didn't learn ourselves, and we can't expect that our parents taught us things that they were never taught themselves. So I think about that sometimes with my own parents. I'm like, well, my parents didn't know this or that or whatever. They only knew what they were taught. And so how am I supposed to hold them to a standard that they were never taught? And so in a lot of ways, parenting gets better with every generation. I say in a lot of ways, but in a lot of other ways, maybe it doesn't. And I think there's a balance there that's happening, and it's kind of teeter-tottering back and forth between what works, what doesn't work, and why those things do or don't work, depending on the context. But yeah, maybe we should take into consideration that we should forgive our parents for not being taught all the things that we might have wished they would have known. Might want to forgive our parents for being emotionally unavailable as their parents were emotionally unavailable. Wow, this can be incredibly true for generations before us where technology didn't make people so available all the time. Work ethic was a lot different in terms of like fathers having to be gone doing work a lot, and particularly fathers, but also just the role of mothers stepping into the workplace through decades that were prior to us, and just the whole family dynamic changing through all those generations over time, that has made the shift in culture very different than what it was 50, 60, 70 years ago. So yeah, being emotionally unavailable, that's something that we're still trying to learn and figure out. And at the same time, we gotta maybe get over a little bit of the having to be so emotionally available about everything. Refer back to number 2, not being able to understand you because they didn't have the capacity to, or not being able to teach you everything. Being emotionally available for everything, maybe not possible for parents to be able to do that. Might want to forgive your parents for doing the best they could with what they knew and had. Yes. Have some grace. Have the same grace for your parents that you would want have someone to have for you for not literally knowing everything. That's not hard to understand. You might want to forgive your parents for following cultural norms that they were surrounded with. Wow. The first thing that comes to my mind is racism. Decades ago, generations ago, was very different than it is now. And people are still so up in arms about racism, and it's so different. It has changed with generations. It has changed through the years to where it is just not the same thing. But many people back in those days were simply following cultural norms that they were surrounded with. Doesn't make it right, but again, it has changed over time so much. And that's just one issue. It's a big one, but that's just one issue where parents follow cultural norms. They just do. I think when it comes to parenting, a lot of cultural norms that people follow are parenting is just becoming softer, where the voice of the father doesn't carry the weight that it used to. The firmness of the father doesn't have the impact that it used to. And, you know, we could say rightly so, but so many fathers abused that over the years. And those cases of that abuse made it such a terrible thing that we have to be soft and gentle about everything. There's a balance. Again, there's always a balance to be had, and letting that balance get out of whack in the soft and gentle side of things is not always the right answer. I can tell you that from years and years of experience in my own parenting. But being the hard driver, like hard, harsh parent is not either. I'm guilty of that as well. So following cultural norms that they're surrounded with, there's so many voices in culture screaming at us constantly to do this, do that, and it ends up being something we can't ever get anything right. So forgive your parents. Have some grace for your parents. Also, forgive your parents for raising you through their own struggles, worries, pain, and fears. You know, all of these bullet points make me think, wow, what a great message. It is nice for us to have grace and forgiveness for our parents for not being perfect, for not doing every little thing perfectly right. But chances are we had parents that loved us. Chances are we had someone caring for us that deeply loved us. And we should be thankful for that. And the line that I said I would get back to you, that my parents always said to me and my siblings, was this: the world doesn't revolve around you. It'd do us all a lot of good to remember the world doesn't revolve around us. There's other people on this planet that we have to have consideration for. There's other people that we need to have the same grace and forgiveness for that we would want others to have for ourselves. So, the world doesn't revolve around us. Get over ourselves. And yes, we might want to forgive our parents for all those things listed there. Good post. Next up, I saw this clip on social media of a lady who is doing her impersonation of Gen X parenting. I took it as a little bit of an insult, but I think she's just trying to be funny, because she also does another one that I'll show in a second about millennial parenting, and I think you can see the contrast. But I'm going to just make some commentary on this because on the one hand it's kind of funny, on the other hand it's kind of insulting, and it speaks to what I was saying earlier from the other post about forgiving your parents. It speaks to the idea that no parenting is perfect. And there's a proper balance that needs to be struck in context with all things parenting related. Nobody can claim to be perfect at this, or really, I think a lot of times can even claim to be great at this parenting thing, because nothing tests all manner of seeking to be great or perfect at something like a kid will. Anyway, let's roll with this. Gen X parenting be like. First of all, the kid probably, like, when we were parents, so let's talk about boomer parenting. When we were kids, boomer parents would have been like, as soon as they snatched us up off the floor, they would have smacked us. I'm not so sure this kid would even be out of the cart right now. If it was a Gen X parent or a boomer parent, I'm not so sure this kid would be back out of the cart right now. He'd probably be sitting in the cart, and that would be the end of the discussion for the rest of the grocery trip. But let's just see what happens next.
No, and if you ask me again, it's going to be no the next time too.
Oh, snap. Kid's still out of the cart, stomping his foot now in pure defiance to the mother. He's getting reminded real quick that he is not in charge. And I still don't know why this kid's not in the cart.
You better stop your crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Well,
absolutely would have said this to our kids. But I don't know. Boomer parents, they would have said that probably after already smacking us, because like it would be like a way of saying you hadn't seen nothing yet. If you don't straighten up, you're going to really find out. We might have said that, but the kid, again, why is the kid on the floor? What is he even doing out of the cart? Put that kid in the cart. They even have buckles now for these kids.
What are you doing?
No, you don't take your shoe off. You don't do that. That's bull crap. Gen X parent, I've never seen a Gen X parent do that. Now, we might carry a wooden spoon with us, And that wooden spoon is a good reminder. You mess around and find out.
Get up.
Again,
Don't you make me
why is that kid on the floor? Why is he not in the cart? We literally, with one of our kids, I won't call any names, we literally put this child in a car seat when they misbehaved and buckled them in a car seat until they submitted their will to the will of the parents and calmed down. This would happen in restaurants. This would happen in grocery stores. This would happen anywhere. And Shauna had to deal with it more than I did, but this child would be taken to the car and put in their car seat until they remembered that they are not in charge. So that's what this makes me think of.
You again. I am not going to tell you twice. Fine. You don't get up, some old man's going to come take you and he's going to kidnap you. You're going to die.
Something like this might have been said. But again, where this Gen X parenting failure happened was letting that kid out of the cart after the first offense. That's like catch and release. You don't do that. You got to teach them who's boss and remind them this is not proper behavior.
Get yourself up off that floor. We're getting in the car.
No. This is more like the parent who, of any generation, just continues to give warnings but never follows through. So important. If you're going to say it, if you're going to threaten it, you got to follow through. That's why you shouldn't make stupid threats, because if it's a threat that you really can't follow through because it's so stupid, you're teaching the child that nothing you say means business. So I took great offense to this, and clearly this lady is younger than me and has a child much younger than mine. And so for me, I was like, I love to hear parenting feedback from someone whose kid is still small, because you really don't know anything yet about what parenting is going to teach you. Yeah, but good try on trying to portray what Gen X parenting is like, at least to you. Now here's the same lady doing millennial parenting. Let's watch this one.
Breathe in with me. Let's just take deep
Let's
breaths.
be soft and gentle about
Okay,
everything.
there's a lot
Put
of
her
it in
down
this
on
store.
the floor with the child, tolling the child.
You ready to get up now? Yeah. Oh, no, it's okay. We can take your time. I know it's really hard. No, they don't matter. You just worry about your emotions. That's what's important. We are in this together.
So in all fairness, she's at least making fun of millennial parenting as well, because at least I hope that's what she's doing, because this is ridiculous. This kid is going to grow up to think that they control everything with their emotions. They're not going to have any logical, behavior control. Their emotions are going to dominate every situation, and it's going to be ridiculous. Again, balance. This is so out of balance. I really hope she's making fun.
I know it's difficult. Take your time. Just breathe in with me. I will be here for you to support you when you're ready to get up. We will get up together, and I won't ever leave your side.
Do all that therapy with your kid at home, not on the grocery store floor. This kid is going to be one of the people protesting in the streets about stupid stuff when they really need to be at work, being a productive citizen. Stop pandering to this kid. Stop pampering this kid and making them so soft with all their emotional bullcrap. Teach them that there's a time and place to be emotional, and it's not pitching a fit in the grocery store. So, yeah, I really hope she's making fun. But again, everything's cute on social media until your kid's old enough that you got real problems. You ain't there yet, girl. Now that I've made myself the old man that just is, you can't say anything nice about the younger generation. That's not true. I'm going to show you some examples of some things that I'm very encouraged about with regard to the younger generation, particularly Gen Z. Millennials, I've written in the past, that I feel like there's a lot of great qualities about millennials. I'm not going to go into millennials today on this video, but I do want to talk about Gen Z, because I do see some hope that Gen Z is raising some standards that need to be raised, and basically requiring some changes be made that technology has pushed forward in an unhealthy way. And this is a great example. This young lady, the Isabel Brown on Instagram, I'm sure she's on all platforms. She's a great voice of reason, I would say, also of conservative value, Christian value, and someone who is of the younger Gen Z generation that I believe is someone that the younger generation should listen to and look to, since, old men like me, you don't want to listen to. And I understand. None of us want to be lectured to and taught by the old guys, the old generation. But I think that young people like this, who are the type of people who actually, I believe, would listen to old guys like me, are the kind of people who can be trusted for the younger generation to look to for sound, logical, balanced perspective. So in this video, she's pointing out something that I think is amazing about the younger generation when it comes to dating apps. So let's check it out.
Literally everyone's surprised Gen Z is ditching our dating apps. I know I'm the odd one out who has just never downloaded a dating app, but I feel like it's just been pushed for so long to Gen Z that it's impossible to meet people in real life, and the only way to find hookups or everlasting love is through a screen. But it turns out we're all over it. Because there's way too many options and none of them are yielding results, 21% of our generation who's single and registered on apps have just stopped using them because they're not doing anything. And 90% of us claim frustration with using dating apps. Plus,
Shocker, dating apps. This idea of just being able to swipe through people and, select people. I've never actually been on one, so I can't really speak with any authority about how they work. But I can only imagine, like, from a guy who had to meet his wife I would say, difficult way, I'm actually happy about that. I'm actually happy that I had to basically man up, is how I refer to it, and speak to a female rather than just getting to swipe or slide into some DMs or something like that. Approach a female. Be a man. See something you want. See somebody you want. See somebody you want to get to know. Be a man and step up to that plate. That's how I feel about it. So these dating apps, it's a shocker that it hasn't worked or that it's not working the way people thought it should or wanted to. They even started out as hookup apps, and now people are realizing hookup culture is empty. It's ultimately meaningless in the long run, and they want real relationships, which you can't really accomplish if you're on dating apps where people are just simply trying to hook up. Anyway, don't get me started.
this one's a shocker. Gen Z is not the hookup generation everybody expected us to be and marketed to us. So apps are having to change their entire strategy just to keep us as customers. Tinder, for example, was initially known as the casual sex app, now has to reinvent itself for a hookup-averse Gen Z by pivoting on a focus to love.
I can't even imagine what they're doing to pivot, to do that, to make it more about love. How can you do that? How can you fabricate in this environment that fosters love when you were originally about so much about hook? I guess we'll see, but I'm glad to see that Gen Z is rejecting the original notion these apps came to the table with.
Retain you as a customer and not help you fall in love. Much to literally.
So I'm happy to see that. I have another one from Isabel as well. This is another one that's really good about Gen Z, and particularly about Gen Z having a new preference for or new data supporting that Gen Z is not all about sex on the screen. So let's check it out.
Gen Z wants less sex on screen in TV shows and movies. I know, it's probably radically the opposite of anything you ever expected, especially because TV shows like Euphoria, which is basically just hardcore.
Never heard of that show, but apparently it's bad.
Have ranked as the #1 TV shows in front of teenagers and young adults for the last several years in a row. But a new study conducted by UCLA's Center for Scholars and Storytellers found that Gen Zers aged 13 to 24 actually want less raunchy, illicit adult content on screen when we're watching our favorite TV shows.
Imagine a generation who reaches the age to speak up about these things, 13 to 24, finally expressing that they do not want this crap, this filth, shoved in front of them constantly by the media, by the entertainment world, and having to say, look, we don't want all that. And it's not even just raunchy sex. It's not even like, it's all the variations of sex that exist now. It's just constantly being pushed in front of them in all sorts of manner, and it's becoming so easy for them to know when there's an agenda being pushed, over sexualization or all the creative sexualization of everything. I'm not even going to get into all that, but I'm just so encouraged that the younger generation is starting to speak up and say, we don't want all that. You can entertain us with a good quality show and a good story without all the sexualization of everything.
and movies. Almost half of respondents in this massive study, 47.5%, said that sex is completely unnecessary to advancing the plot of a TV show or movie. And 44.3% said that romance in media is being overused, that instead of constantly shoving friends with benefits or swiping left or right on dating app stories down our throats when we want to watch a good storyline, we actually want to see more platonic relationships and friendships on screen. It's not hard for me to imagine why this massive shift is happening, and the vast majority of teenagers are confronting the industry every single day. When we've reduced sex to a human transaction, treating human beings like a commodity through a screen, we've taken away the joy and the love and the mystery associated with it. Everyone am really encouraged by this. What do you think?
I am very encouraged by this too, especially as a dad of Gen Z, 3 Gen Z wonderful children who I have great hope and expectation for. I'm incredibly encouraged by the fact that that generation is rejecting the constant sexualization and pushing of agendas with all that stuff, because it's just it's terrible. So again, Isabel Brown, great Gen Z voice on this. I don't know her personally. She seems to be great, and she's I think recently married with what I believe to be a good relationship that her and her husband portray, at least on social media. But I've always agreed with the things that I hear her say, and so great voice for the Gen Zers to look to and maybe resonate with. So I hope that's encouraging. Last video but not least, this is hilarious. I want to talk about some different, I want to show you this clip about different types of kids when their parents are whooping them. When I saw this, I couldn't help but laugh out loud because it reminded me of me and my siblings.
What I tell you.
Oh yeah, pretty sure we've all been there. This might have been me or my brother at any given moment.
What I tell you about talking in class.
Absolutely.
Wait.
Oh, I've definitely done this one. The swings are hilarious, though. Nobody swings at their kids like that. Oh, I can't say that I did this one, but I'm pretty sure my brother did.
I said yo.
Oh, that's too funny. If your parents didn't give you good whoopings, then you missed out. You probably aren't. You probably have other issues that you wouldn't have if you had gotten some good whoopings. And that's really it for today, folks. I just wanted to show some videos and talk about, obviously, some parenting things. I know parenting can be a very challenging journey for all of us, and I, for one, would never claim to be perfect at it. It's always a learning experience, even with kids that are grown now, mostly grown. We've got 3, and our youngest just turned 16, but it is quite a journey. It's one of the most fulfilling blessings in life, and it's also very challenging and humbling, and none of us get it right. So we need to have grace for each other. We need to be less nitpicky of generational differences and a little more willing to learn from each other in both directions. Younger learning from the older and older learning from the younger, and adapting and just trying to be the best we can with what we've got, and do the best we can moving forward and try to make the best of this life that we've all got together. And also we can just a little bit, just laugh, have a good time, enjoy this life that we've been given. So that's all for today. No fancy bumper roll in or any of that kind of stuff. At best, this video is just going to get cut a few times so you don't see the fumbling around of trying to start and stop the technology. Maybe one day we'll have all the nice roll in, roll out, blah, blah, blah stuff. But for now, this is it.